everyone else is thinking.
I'm dedicated to it. I can't be stopped.
Boy, do I have the greatest campfire in the world. Even though it's an electronic campfire, you can feel the warmth of my freedom coals, can't you? Well, my name is Ted Nugent, and this is The Real America's Voice, titled appropriately because whenever my mouth moves, that's a real America's voice. So remember, support the First Amendment in a world where it's censored, and the court system and the DOJ and Uncle Sam is the enemy of the freedoms outlined in the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Ten Commandments, the Golden Rule, the Declaration of Independence. What a horrible, painful statement that is, that our own government in 2024 is the enemy of freedom, the enemy of America. So go to Minutemen Coffee and order Minutemen Coffee from the veterans. It's good stuff. And buy it for your family and friends. Century H2O. It's a water treatment that makes your water more delicious, healthier, beneficial, almost medicinal in its enrichment qualities. Also, fieldofgreens.com. Go to Field of Greens. Go to the great Mike Lindell, My Pillow. And of course, the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire is about rugged individualism, effervescent masculinity, being a good provider and protector of family. And that includes always having a fire extinguisher in all your vehicles, always having a tool belt and a pocket knife and a handkerchief and reading glasses and a lighter and a pen. I mean, be prepared. Every time somebody goes, anybody got a pen? I got a pen. Anybody got a lighter? I got a lighter. Somebody cuts themselves and they're going to die from hemorrhaging, bleeding. I got my large neckerchief, and I've saved lives when I carry a handkerchief. By the way, all you guys out there, if you don't have a clean handkerchief, you're not a real man. Now, that's a brash thing to say, but my dad always checked before I left the house. Do you have a clean handkerchief? You got to have a quality first aid kit in all your vehicles and at home. Right now, it's about being prepared. You've got to have a bleed control kit. I get this stuff from Voodoo Tactical. We can put that on the screen. VoodooTactical.com. And one of the sponsors of my middle finger of freedom is the Wellness Company. This is essential. You've got to have an emergency medical kit. The Wellness Company medical emergency kit. I take their spike protein. I'm telling you, this stuff, if you're not independently capable of taking care of your family, then you're not really a real man or a real mother or a real father. TWC.health/TED, the Wellness Company. I'm telling you, you got to have this stuff in your home, in your cabin, in your truck. You got to have a firearm. You got to have adequate ammo, and you got to know how to use it. You've got to be able to hunt, fish, and trap if things go to hell and they're well on their way. We're in the final toilet flush of America going in the toilet. So be prepared. And the ultimate way to be prepared, as I've always said, is the spirit of the wild, the hunting, fishing, trapping lifestyle, and those law enforcement heroes that protect the system by which we have more deer, more elk, more bison, more bears, more cougar, more turkeys, more ducks and geese than ever in recorded history in most cases, except for the buffalo. But there are more buffalo now than in over 150 years because of guys like John Borkovich. Talking about John Wayne Walding is my soul brother, my funk brother, my blood brother. But John Borkovich, the Michigan retired conservation officer, but he's still a conservation officer. John Borkovich, welcome to the campfire. Is this not your campfire? Don't you feel like this is your family campfire?
I do, Ted.
So, John, we're in a royal cluster bleep in America. It's a police state. Guys are going to jail for shooting an extra dove, but the Supreme Court justice can't tell you what a woman is, and people are beating the hell out of cops and getting let out. People are carjacking, murdering, stabbing, raping, child molesting, home invasions, and they're let out over and over. But if you shoot a deer and don't tag it, even though you have the tag, it's the deer season, it's the legal time, legal place, legal weapon, a guy will get in more trouble shooting a deer without the tag instantly applied than if you carjack somebody. John Borkovich is a law enforcement hero. Is your heart broke at the state of affairs, and what do we do to fix this?
There's so much wrong, Ted. It's going to take a while to fix it. We have such a two-tier justice system right now. Our inner cities are on fire. Criminals are carjacking and looting and tipping police cars over and don't get arrested. But someone who puts some apples out for hunting gets a ticket. Somebody who doesn't have the bow and arrow in the case gets a ticket. That is wrong, Ted, that we've almost picked on our country people and almost picked on our hunters and fishermen to the point that it's unconstitutional, it's criminal. But here's something that Ted Nugent will understand. We have all these civil rights laws in America. We have rights that protect based on religion and sex and height and weight and color and all these other things. And recently, we added sexual or gender ID and gender expression. Ted, do you think now we need to add 3 more things to that list of protection? 1 being hunters, 1 being fishermen, and 1 being small town Americans. Does that make sense? We're going to protect some people. Let's protect all people.
Yeah.
If we look at these DEI in corporations and state and federal governments now, everyone has an office of DEI. The middle initial is E. That's equality. How is it equal to ignore crimes in the major cities, but arrest people that go hunting and fishing and drive, maybe roll through a stop sign way out in the country where there's no traffic? That is not an equal application of the law. That's discrimination against small town America. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, well, I've obviously been in the crosshairs of a corrupt anti-justice criminal system when the Eric Holder and Barack Obama sicked Jack Schmidt. Jack Schmidt was a U.S. attorney in Alaska, and Jack Schmidt is a punk. Jack Schmidt violated his sacred oath to the Constitution when the Alaska fishing game didn't go after me because I shot a black bear on TV where the arrow bounced off the rib and didn't hurt the black bear. And there was a new law that even the judge admitted in court he had never heard of. He lived in Ketchikan, hunted black bear in Prince of Wales Islands all his life, never heard of the law. I showed it on TV because, you know, when you want to intentionally break a law, you want to share it with 50 million viewers. But Jack Schmidt, as spurred on by Barack Obama and Eric Holder, charged me with felonies. Lacey Act, the Lacey Act should be gotten rid of. It's just a joke. Because I hit a bear, but I didn't recover it because I saw the bear, and then I eventually killed the same bear. Anyhow, the point is that it went after me. What kind of soulless punk would obey a command to go after a Ted Nugent to destroy his hunting reputation, to make me a felon so I can't vote and can't own a gun? If you're going to ruin Ted Nugent, wouldn't that be the way? But luckily, when I pled no contest as a plea deal, which I'm actually sorry I did that, it became a misdemeanor, but now I'm a wildlife violator. John Borkovich, you know damn well when it comes to the sound science regulations, that I am not a wildlife violator. But the punks in our government, the punks in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the punks in the White House at the time and currently, they will go after someone for catching a fish that's a half-inch too short, but they won't go after somebody who burns down the police department in Portland, Oregon. As a law enforcement officer, doesn't this break your heart? Does it not break your heart?
It does, Ted. That's not equal enforcement of the law. That's called selective prosecution. It's selective prosecution that you or Donald Trump or some poor hunter who maybe had his bow out of his gun, the bow case. That's called malicious or selective prosecution, and it has to end. You either arrest everybody that's breaking laws or arrest nobody that's breaking laws. Does that make sense? That's selective prosecution that they pick Ted Nugent, Donald Trump, or some poor hunter to investigate and charge with a crime. And I don't know how we're going to stop this other than with Ted Nugent getting involved and some of us getting involved that know a lot about these laws. But if you have stand-down orders in the inner city for tipping police cars over, for squatting in houses, if you have stand-down orders to not stop a violent riot or protest, why are we arresting people for baiting? Why are we arresting people for not immediately tagging their deer or for hitting a bear with the arrow that glanced off it? That's not fair, equal application of our laws. That's not America.
Well, John, you know how much I love the heroes of law enforcement, but don't you see a painful and criminal trend of oath takers? We're oath keepers. I take an oath in Lake County every 4 years as a sheriff deputy up there since 1984. And those words, I just had John Wayne Walding, a hero of the U.S. Green Beret Army heroes. Those words are supposed to guide our actions. When do you think, and I've only got 1 minute left, but when do you think you saw the erosion of that adherence to the oath and jackbooted thuggery that are willing to invade private property without a search warrant, violating their Fourth Amendment oath? When did you see this erosion taking place in the law enforcement community and in the game warden community?
This came from political pressure and special interest pressure onto our judges, DAs, mayors, governors. It came through that, Ted, and it's filtered down into you and I and our hunters and our fishermen. So this began with the special interest. That's why I say we have a fight between rural America and urban America. We're tired of catering and forgiving crimes and problems in the inner city and focusing our attention in the country. These officers do not want to arrest everybody. Police like Ted Nugent. They like John Borkovich, but they're being pressured. And in big cities, because of liability, fear of losing their job, they have to do what they're told, which is wrong. Look at the mandates when the coronavirus came out. Oh.
Well, John, I got to tell you, I introduced you by saying being prepared. I hope you get ready for a great fishing season. There's still turkey hunting across the country. When I get back to Michigan in a couple of days, we're going to get together and we're going to fight to make this better. John Borkovich, thank you for your service, and I'll be back with more truth, logic, and common sense on Uncle Ted's Spirit Campfire right here. Who's going to stop me?